Hello and welcome back to our NHS Pensions podcast series, where we take each topic of the NHS pension scheme and break it down for you to help you manage your pension, plan for the future and understand the scheme. Today I am joined by Angela and Darren, and they're here with me today to talk all about how to apply for your pension, and we're going to run through everything that entails. So let's kick things off. Just as an overview to start, where does somebody start if they want to look at applying for their pension? Who do they contact, that sort of thing? Talk me through the process from start to finish that you would expect to see.
So the first person we would expect you to be speaking to if you want to retire would be your employer, to have that conversation about your intention to leave the service, if that is what you're going to do. But obviously you don't have to fully retire and take your pension and not return to work. There are lots of different options available when it comes to retirement from the NHS pension scheme.
Okay, so really it's your employer is the first person you're going to have this conversation with them.
Yeah.
Okay, and when can they retire? Are there minimum ages on this?
So for the majority of members, it would be age 55. There are some members that have membership within the 1995 section that can take it at age 50. But the majority of members, the minimum pension age is age 55 across the 95 and 2008 scheme and the 2015 scheme.
Great, thank you. So let's talk about how they retire. Is there a form? If there is, where do they get it? And who completes it?
So if a member is still actively in employment at the point that they retire, they would fill in an AW8 form, just to make sure that people are aware if they're no longer in the pension scheme at the point that they retire. It's a slightly different process, a little bit easier for them. They just fill in a form called an AW8P form, and they send that directly to us at NHS Pensions. But I think today, if we concentrate more members that are actively retiring from NHS employment, they would fill in a form called the AW8 form, which they would get from their employer, specifically from their pensions officer at their organisation.
What happens if they don't go through their employer? They try and do this themselves?
So we do get a lot of members that assume that their manager, whoever their supervisor maybe, would be the person that would sign off and authorise that AW8 application form. Every organisation has their own pensions officer, so we would expect the process to go through the pensions officer. They would close down your pension record, provide you with an estimate if that's what you wanted before you retired, and they are the only people that are authorised to sign the application form off. If it doesn't come through that process, it would take a much longer time. We'd have to return the forms to the member and ask them to go through the right way.
Okay, now, in terms of the form itself, what sort of level of knowledge are they going to need to complete that form? Are they asking complex questions? Is it more simple stuff about their background?
It's very basic information. There's nothing complex or complicated that we ask the member to complete. It's details, name and address, details of your spouse or any dependent children, if that is applicable, and details about your bank account and where you would like your pension payments made to. They also will ask questions about the lump sum that you might want to take from each section or scheme that you're claiming your pension benefits from.
Well, that, I'm sure, is a very popular option. So if somebody wanted to make a choice about their lump sum, could they take the lump sum and not the pension? Is that an option?
No, it's not.
Great. Okay. So once they have completed this form, what are the timescales? That's the biggest question members ask. When do they get their money?
For everything to run smoothly, quite appropriate to start those conversations at least 6 months prior to you wanting to actually retire. So you've got plenty of time to have a conversation with your employer, get everything together. Once you've filled the AW8 application form in, your employer then submits that to us electronically if they have that function, and they can't do that any more than 3 months in advance of your retirement date. So 3 months gives us time to make sure everything is processed, and we aim to pay that lump sum if you're entitled to, or you've claimed a lump sum, the day after your retirement date.
And when you say that your retirement date, what is that date? Who chooses that?
That is entirely up to the member. Member can decide. You don't have to sort of do it at the beginning of a scheme year, or so it doesn't have to be the 1st of January or anything like that. You can retire at any point. As long as you've reached the minimum pension age, the section of scheme that you're claiming from, you can choose what date you want to retire from.
So obviously, I'd just like to circle back to where we were talking about talking to your employer. It is really, really important that you get your employer on board when you're making any of these decisions, because there are different types of retirement and they need to be involved in the decisions you make, as far as workflow is concerned within their organisation. And, you do have to have those discussions with them to make sure that that retirement is right for you and for them.
Okay. When Ange mentioned before about the minimum pension age was 55, you can go at any time there, can't you? Early, normal, you can even go later after your pension age.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's no real limit on when you can retire, apart from the minimum and the maximum, which is 75. But anything prior to, within that age range can be done, and you can retire at any point which is suitable for you. We do recommend that people take financial advice, because different age rates and different times of retirement may impact different financial circumstances. So it is very important that you make that decision with the right information available to you.
Absolutely. I think bringing it back to the application form itself, what were to happen if you were to retire and you were moving abroad? Is there any information you'd need to give us, or give you, should I say?
Yeah, so there are overseas mandates available for you to sign if you want to take your pension and you're moving abroad, to actually take that pension in that country. Those are all available on the website to download, and you would have to submit that with the AW8 when you're making the application for your pension.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Now, thinking about once the application has been completed and it's been submitted, that pension's being put into payment, what would a member need to do from that point onwards? Do they need to keep in touch with the NHS Pension Scheme in any way?
Yeah, it's very important that they keep all their personal details up to date. Obviously, your bank details are really important, or you won't get paid. And also your addresses, so we can get in touch with you. And we do send out a pension newsletter as well, and that's yearly. So we need that information being kept up to date. You can do that either by contacting us or through the My NHS Pension app.
And when we say we will be contacting you, you get the newsletter, how are they contacting members? Are they writing to them? Is it email address?
It's generally by email. So we would generally contact people by email, but we will write to people if we don't have an email address. But obviously it's a lot quicker and more efficient if we do have an email address. And again, keep that up to date as well.
Great. So it is key here to make sure those personal details are bang up to date with the pension scheme, to make sure they're getting the latest information they need to.
Yeah, definitely.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Right. So that really sums up the application form. The team with me today have gone through what the application form is called, where you find it, the details that you'll need to complete into it, and also the timescales that are involved when you're applying for your NHS pension. That brings us to the end of today's podcast, and I hope you found it informative and useful. If you head over to the NHS Pensions website and look under the Member Hub, you'll find all the information we've talked about today. If you've got any feedback on the topics you've heard today, or any suggestions about future topics you want us to do an episode on, please send us an email to the Stakeholder Engagement team. And finally, just hit subscribe to wherever you listen to your podcasts for any future episodes of the NHS Pensions podcast. That's all we've got time for today. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.